Hello teacups, what's brewing? We're back with Chantal. Do we do anything else? Only on the other channels. So Chantal did a live called This Is So Funny that I myself edited down today because I was procrastinating on writing my report card comments. I've got another 15 to do, I'll have to do that tomorrow. Luckily the deadline for that is Sunday. I had to think about that for a second. I wanted to say Monday, but that's not when my week starts. It's Sunday, so hopefully at that point the pressure should release and I should have a bit more time on my hands. We've got another couple of weeks at school before we get to the winter holiday, and then obviously things will go on. So Chantal's live stream was 2 hours and about 26 minutes. I've got it down to 14 and I'm not sure I'm going to do the first talking point. So maybe even 12. Because God, I'm not doing her for 2 hours. Because man, I found it difficult recently. You know, the other week, was it the other week? God, time is flying so fast. She put up a vlog about like her refreshing her makeup or affordable makeup or something like that. And you know me, I like makeup. So I was like, okay, let's react to this. She had some other stuff going on, but I was like, it's a topic I find fairly interesting. And I had a little bit of a chat about affordable stuff that I use and blah, blah, blah. And I put it into my computer and I sat down to edit and I got through about 20 minutes. And I was like, you know what? I'm boring myself. I can't. No, and I just discarded the video and didn't upload it. So that's kind of been where I've been with Chantal at the moment. But anyway, let's just have a little look at what she has to say about things.
The writing on the bullets. Apparently it's about a book about healthcare. Now, honestly, I was at first I was reading the comments in the videos about it, and people were celebrating. What happened to humanity and empathy?
She's talking about the incident over the last few days where the head of that healthcare company was killed. I don't know very much about it. I've just seen it reported. I don't think the case has, escalated, has moved on, or he's been caught or anything like that. But that's what she's discussing. And the only reason I kept this in is because, man, she can turn any conversation to herself. But no, Chantal, let's hear you of all people, talk about the milk of human kindness and how we need to show it to each other.
Then I realized people are fed the F up. People are just, they can't have empathy for someone like this because, you know, this person was probably personally affected. Like, imagine you need a life-saving surgery and now I hear they're charging, private healthcare is charging, they won't even pay for the whole anesthesia during an operation or something like this.
I find it so rich that, I think the healthcare situation in America is nuts at the moment, yeah? But I find it so rich that this woman who is privileged enough to be from a country where she will be provided with healthcare, who doesn't pay into the tax system that pays for that healthcare, is here arguing about how terrible another country is and kind of justifying the action even though she knows nothing about it and nothing about the person who perpetrated it.
American healthcare is actually evil. That's what happens when you have healthcare for profit. You know, because when you have profit off of someone's, on healthcare, that is to me evil. Yeah, it's really bad.
You don't pay your taxes that pay for universal healthcare in your country. I don't live in my country, so I don't take advantage of the NHS. And the NHS has its problems. Don't get me wrong. It is under massive strain and it is in the process of just completely breaking down. And with the election and obviously the campaigning to help to fix these issues, whether that's actually happening or not, it's been a talking point in terms of the future of Britain. But I pay my national insurance voluntarily because one of the benefits you get when you pay your national insurance, which is the equivalent of this tax, is that you pay into your state pension. And one day I want to take out of this system and get my pension. But the money that I pay also goes to other things. It goes to things like the NHS. Because maybe something happens to me here and I decide to return to the UK and I want to use the system. And therefore I should be paying into it. Foodie reaps the benefits whenever it's convenient, but doesn't support the system.
I don't personally agree with deleting somebody over that, but at the same time, I kind of understand the reactions to it. Like, I'm not saying I agree with it, I understand. I think people should have the choice. Like here, you have universal health care that you pay a yearly fee for.
She had trouble with that then. She was like, wait, what am I meant to have? If you're a resident, you can pay a fee to have access to the public hospitals, but it still excludes a lot of stuff and you are not prioritized within the hospitals. Now, in Oman and in Saudi Arabia, where I worked before this, it was compulsory for employers to provide private healthcare, so not to tax that system. And as Salah's spouse, she should be on his healthcare, but she just goes to clinics and pays, which I mean, she's needed healthcare. I would definitely go and do. The money is worth your life, but we don't know anything. We can't prove anything, and yet these events don't seem to match up with the story you're telling us.
Or you can go to a private clinic if you're rich, or you have the money, or you have private insurance. Yeah, I see you. So I just think that it's the CEO of United Healthcare. Yeah. I mean, it's still somebody's, father, son. So, I mean, I don't agree with what was done. It was just like, wow, it's kind of sad that humanity has lost so much empathy, like online, like we can just wish people dead. And
this is crazy to me. Like, this is nuts to me. I realised it was FFG she was going for, and there's enough water under the bridge between those two that there is no love lost at all. But she was calling FFG's mum worm food and saying she was glad that her mum was dead and that she was glad that FFG had to deal with the pain for that, even though she went through the loss of her grandmother and indeed did rage over the fact that she didn't get enough sympathy for that. Like, what are you talking about? It's a shame people don't have empathy online. You are a living embodiment of that problem.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, because this is really all about you.
While I don't agree with the actions of the deleter, I think it speaks of...
The fact that she uses the word deleter here, I'm like, dude, just say what you mean. Now, it doesn't stop her when she's angry, but I think this is a symptom of her being more worried about her channel being struck than she's necessarily letting on,
And Yaba was like adding YouTube creator help, whatever, which are not there for striking people, by the way. They were...
Excuse me. YouTube creator help is there for you to at when you have a problem with YouTube. Sorry, they're not there to do that. Don't get me wrong, they don't do that very often, but it's not an effective tool, but that's exactly what it's there for. What the hell else is it there for?
Crying to creator help on Twitter saying like, she threatened to unalive me. So where did I threaten to delete Yaba in my Hardy stream?
I have a receipt here. I realize it was slightly more vague than threatening to unalive her, but...
I need the timestamp because Gigi played my stream, a bit of it, and there was nowhere. If she knows what's good for her, she'd keep my mother out of her fucking ugly, foul, degenerate mouth.
It's a little one. I'm not sure if in the Harvey stream as well, I know she was eating and raging in a car, which is very nostalgic. But she said more than enough, and I'm not saying that Yaba hasn't. They've not had particularly friendly words. But come on now, let's not pretend we're not doing things.
What I was doing was spitting off facts,
Those facts just happen to be a threat.
Nothing else. I never said anything like that. But you have planned my funeral. Yes, you have. You have laughed at it many times that I might croak on stream. Yes, you have. Yeah.
It's not really a thing you're catching her out for here. It's not a mic drop. Everyone's been horrible to everybody.
Exactly. Like these people, I find it funny. That's why my title, I find it funny.
The rage she has in this stream. No. Funny is definitely the word I'd use.
Like, there's nothing you can threaten me with that is going to have me shaking in my Grandpa Joe costume, buddy, okay?
Is that why you switched kill to deleted? Because you're not concerned? Is that why she's been going back and deleting old streams and old other examples of her potentially breaking TOS? Is that why? Because you are not worried, you're not concerned. She makes a big deal of not being concerned in the stream, but we saw what happened last time her channel got deleted.
So, do your worst, B. You think that you get things done? You underestimate me. You underestimate me. I'm smarter
I estimate you exactly.
than you. I'm more educated than you. Even as a dropout.
She is neither smart nor educated, but smart and educated are different things.
Please. Because your channel is still standing, and it might stand, who knows, right? I guess, okay, let's say you strike my 1 or 2 videos that I made about, live streams talking crap about you, because you talk about me first. Okay, so I might get a warning or 2. I might get struck for, a week or 2.
Didn't she get struck for a week, or am I thinking of Amber Lynn? I might be getting those two mixed up now that I think about it. But in terms of anyone's channel still standing, be it Yabba, be it French Fry Girl, be it Gaulet Bread, Just Breezing, any of the ones that she really, really hates, Chantal is fundamentally impulsive. If she could have, she would have. But every time she has this little rager, every time she threatens these things, every time she says that she's taking steps behind the scenes, she never is. And everything we hear from her on the subject just shows that she doesn't have the knowledge of having been through it in real life. This whole thing she went on about copyright and how she'd have legal documents with copyright. And I was like, dude, you have copyright of your videos. That's why there's a copyright claim process. They're just empty threats, but she doesn't have enough knowledge to fill them out and make them believable. And a lot of the time, right after she makes those threats, remember when she was just every day going after FFG? I know it hasn't been that long. But she would be like, oh, I'm doing this. And then she'd be like, oh, if I had the money, I'd be doing this. You are so lucky I'm not in Canada right now. You are so lucky I'm not pursuing this. And you're like, okay, so you don't have the money and there's nothing to worry about. Right, just so I know.
It's okay, whatever. But you think I'm not going to retaliate against you? Honestly, you have an entire hate channel with hundreds and hundreds of videos.
I bet if people went through her channel, they could find examples of Chantal being just as bad to Yabba as Yabba is to Chantal. And that's not even me defending Yabba, because I don't know her like that. But this is what I mean by we're all in the mud together. There has been far too much sewage under that particular bridge, any of those particular bridges, for Foodie to be on completely solid ground when it comes to taking anybody to do anything, which she's not going to do. Because I'm sorry, and I think she does talk about this in a little bit in the stream, but I don't think I've covered it. Like, where is she going to start? She's in Kuwait. She's in Kuwait on a tourist visa, but she's in Kuwait. She's not staying in Canada. And I suppose with Canada and America being closer, she's got a little bit more leeway there to be able to pursue it. But the threat feels pretty empty. Sometimes I do think about, like, let's say she came after me, and I laugh a little bit because I am generally more analytically minded than she is. I can put things together. And if I think about the convoluted route of this, a Canadian tourist living in Kuwait going after a British YouTuber paid by Google Ireland, owned by Google America, living in Oman. Where would you even start with that? Where would you even start?
Saying the most, you have merged with my family, which, by the way, I really hope you know that every cent you make off of that, you're going to have to pay back in legal fees, biatch. Trust and believe.
I neither trust nor believe her, and anytime she says it, don't. Chantal, you are not a trustworthy person, and the greatest indicator of future behavior is past behavior. You're not going to do anything.
Look, it's not overnight. Legal proceedings, trust me, I'm doing things.
I'm looking into it, so you're doing nothing.
So just don't underestimate me. I'm not going to give you the time of day every day to talk about you.
You're given quite a lot of time in quite a lot of days, let's be real.
Because that's what you want. That's what these people want, right? They want me to rage. They want me to talk about them so they have content.
Bitch, I'm barely at 1 react a week right now. Like, I've got other stuff happening, okay? When the holidays come, when my deadline's over, yes, I should have a bit more time. But are you kidding? I don't think Chantal realizes how bad her content has gotten. The fact that she's now going outside the house gives a little bit more to talk about, but there is a reason her views are down, and it is not because of the reactors.
How in the hell do you have the nerve to talk about my content when this is what your content is? Can you play the Gigi video? I'd have to go set up and do another stream.
She doesn't react well. We speak from experience. Please don't do that.
You have an entire community made around me, and if you remove that, you remove the nucleus, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, you're going to retro react. Because I'm telling you what, you're not going to react to my current content, because if I get deleted from YouTube, I'm getting a job. I'm going to go work at Arby's and get free food.
There is quite a lot to get into there. Okay, I probably should have paused earlier. Number 1, Chantal, we may be orbiting around you. I am not disputing that at all. But when I tell you that life would move on differently perhaps. Some people would find other creators to follow, some people would go in other directions, some people would stop. You are not irreplaceable. Is the universe currently existing around you a little strange? Yes, and I say that as a part of it. But we were all here before you and we'll all be here after you. Now let's move on to this thing about her getting a job. Because we have discussed this before, but it bears repeating. Foodie is not qualified to do anything. Yeah, so in terms of skilled work, it would be hard for her to get a job because there would likely be, and this is assuming she went back to Canada and was hireable at all, yeah? She is not employable in Kuwait, but assuming she went back to Canada, even with a history in medical administration, which she does have, it has been years of her being out of that work. She would not be experienced enough to get back in it, and the job market is not throwing jobs at people right now. She is not a catch in terms of experience and how long she's been out of the workplace. So that kind of role, based on what she'd done before, would be quite hard to do. So let's say she went for the kind of job she's discussing. Let's say she went for the service industry, be it retail, be it fast food, something along those lines that doesn't really require experience because you'll be trained on the job. Foodie might not need any special qualifications for that and entry-level work in general, but she needs a bigger paycheck than that and she couldn't manage without it. And even if pay were no concern, those jobs require you to be mobile and require you to be able to remain mobile for long periods of time. You will be on your feet. You will be serving, you will be moving around. If it's retail, you'll be walking around the shop. You may not be allowed to sit down. Foodie can barely huff and puff herself to the car. Now, that can change, but I don't think Chantal is the person to change it. She doesn't have the skills for a higher entry point, and she doesn't have the physical capability for a lower one. If you don't need skills, there are better people to hire than Foodie. If you do need skills, Foodie doesn't have them.
I am not putting up with this shit. No. If I get deleted before you, I'm gone. I'm gone from YouTube. I don't need to. No.
Not sure the threat she thinks it is, but go on.
I can survive. Trust and believe. You can say, oh, your reputation is tarnished. You won't get a job. You think they care? Some places don't give a crap about that. Some places don't check.
Some places don't. But you can't afford to live and you can't physically do entry-level work that wouldn't look at that. And it's easier than you would think for jobs to check your presence online. And it's not like Chantal hasn't had all of her information put out there and doesn't have a wealth of online material to be referred to. And none of it is particularly flattering. Any company that would care about that wouldn't touch her with a barge pole.
If I need to change my name to get a good job, I'll do it. There's nothing. You underestimate me. You
overestimate yourself.
So do your worst. Nobody cares.
You care. You're pretty angry.
You can pick another fatty to make fun of. Will it get the same views as talking about me? No, and I love that for you. So go ahead. Go right ahead.
She is one of the more infamous people. If people really wanted to stay within this corner of YouTube, you could find other people. Chantal is awful, but she's not unique, as much as she would like to think she is. Oh, and just so it doesn't look like I'm ignoring the point, yes, views would probably go down at first, because you build your channel around certain content, and when that content finishes, it's always a bit wobbly. But if Chantal was gone, and then after a while people just lost interest in it because people move on, you could build elsewhere for sure. I'm not sure Chantal could build elsewhere offline. She's always stood to lose more than we have.
She'll retro react, but for how long are people going to give a shit about that?
Not that long.
How many Cuba rages are you going to look?
I'm having to edit carefully because I didn't realize when I was screen recording this that my sound was engaged. And so I just heard this really big banging and I was like, I don't remember someone coming to her door. And it was me banging out the coffee puck on my coffee. Hopefully it hasn't covered up anything too important.
Don't underestimate me. Don't think that there's things going on behind the scenes. I'm patient.
She is not patient. She is infamous for being the opposite of patient. She's incredibly impulsive. If she could have thrown us all off of YouTube, she would have done it. She can't. You think her patience is what's had her put up with reaction channels for this long?
You know that a Komodo dragon will poison their prey?
Sorry. The way she concentrating on this sentence. This is something she thought up before she started filming. And she thinks it's a read. You can tell. She is trying to get this right, and she sounds like a terrible villain from like a C-list Channel 5 movie. A Komodo dragon will poison its prey. Are you in a fucking Bond film? Keep going. Come on, Foodie, you got this.
And then they'll follow it and watch it slowly go down and go down and go down.
Go down and go down. Did you forget your line?
Just be patient. Patient. I'm patient like a Komodo dragon. Just...
Foodie the Komodo dragon. The only reason any of us need to be patient is because time is on our side of the equation when it comes to her health. Patient like a Komodo dragon. Oh, I'm going to be laughing about that for days. Like, I'm going to be making my coffee in the morning and I'm just going to be like, Komodo dragon. She's really desperate to be considered a different kind of predator. One Foodie, cheers. I know generally speaking she's not entertaining, but every now and again, I tell you, it's enough to give you hope.
You are our Komodo dragon, yeah. Everything I said is not against terms of service in my Hardee's video, okay? They attack people who attack their character. What's the difference?
Her Hardee's video is still there, I do believe, so when she was deleting other things, I guess she left it.
I don't care. Let them enjoy their money now, page 5. Let them. I'm not hurting for money. I can do whatever I want. I can travel. I pay off, like, you know, we have everything paid anyway.
Ooh, she caught herself. She was like, I can travel, I can pay off. We have everything paid off anyway. Number one, you don't, because you said that Salah was paying off the car. Because when people said, oh, you're still going to pay for his car, it's like, no, Salah pays for that. When the whole shitstorm was going down. And two, I think she was about to say, I can pay my debts. Because she's still in that court-ordered tax debt repayment thing, right? It doesn't include the taxes she will have incurred while being in Kuwait and being paid in Canada, because she is still adamant that as an expat she doesn't owe them, which is not true. But we've seen her content, we've seen how it's changed as her income has lowered.
But I don't need the kind of money I had before. I'm not living on my own. I have a partner who works.
That's actually true. She does live with someone else, and her bills are very likely to be less in Kuwait than they were in Canada. There would definitely be ways she could live more efficiently. There are some big cuts she could make very easily. And I think she gets by fine on a day-to-day basis. But she doesn't have the forethought to think about anything except immediate gratification. And she said as much. She said when she thinks about the future, she can't think about it. She can't imagine past a certain amount of time. All the benefit you get in being able to build up assets by living within your means, she is losing out on because she's actively incurring debt by not taking care of her taxes. Even if she's paying the old ones, she's setting herself up for more failure there. And should her position in Kuwait ever change, which at some point it must do. Hey everyone, you've probably had a quick cut off there. You may have noticed a quick costume change. It's the following day. So, I finished the react last night. I turned off the camera. I remember turning off the camera. I plugged it into my computer. I went to copy it over, and only the first video remained, because when it hits its limit, it just automatically clicks over to a new file. And for whatever reason, the new file didn't save, regardless of the fact that it said it was recording. I did not have time to finish it. It was 11 p.m. before I had finished editing even the first part, so I decided to just come back today, which is why this react is a little bit later than I wanted it to be. When are my reacts not late? Well, but I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to edit this part and then I'm going to try and put them together. I believe Chantal was saying she does fine for money. And I think I was saying, I agree, but she's not thinking of the future, basically. Because her status in Kuwait one day will change. She's not going to stay there forever. Either she'll get caught coming in and out on a tourist visa, or she's just going to get sick of Salah. Now, so far, the fear of being alone and the difficulty in the financial stuff connected to going back to Canada long term have stopped her. But if she doesn't get sick of Salah, Salah's going to get sick of her. He is 10 years younger and he is much more capable of living in the country than she is. I think that's where we were. Let's move along.
Save your pennies, because you're going to need them in the future, I'm telling you.
I think Chantal is just banking on not having a future, and that's the only way she can handle not being prepared for it at all. But this smug smile of, oh yeah, I'm taking you to court, you're going to pay me all the money for the copyright. No, that's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, I'm big mad.
You
right?
really are.
Mm-hmm. You're talking about rage pigs, a community of rage pigs, but I'm mad. No, I find it funny.
Yeah, no, all of the rage you've got in this stream really just does sound like it's funny.
They talked about my death. They used my family's likeness to make fun of it as emojis. If I were you, I would remove that shit right now.
Again, empty threats.
I would.
Oh, also, I think I saw on Twitter this morning, somebody tracked down, she had put on a community post, I think after I had recorded yesterday, she put on a community post proof of a blacked out email address and an email she had sent to someone legal. And they tracked down this website. And when I tell you, it looks like it could have been made on like Yahoo 1995 free sites, you know? And better, aside from the fact that it doesn't look official at all, it's advice for people representing themselves. When I tell you the only way I would part with money in regards to Foodie is to be a fly on that wall of her defending herself in court with this nonsense. Oh, I need to be there.
Well, I don't plan on talking about them all the time, page 5, trust me.
Well, we're here.
Yeah, they're just gross, Gina, exactly. Save your pennies, because you're going to need them in the future, I'm telling you.
Newsflash. Most of us already save our pennies for the future. Not everyone is fortunate enough to be in a privileged position to be able to afford to do so, and I understand that. But we don't need to be told by you. On the off chance that you survive your future, maybe consider doing the same.
They talked about my death. They used my family's likeness to make fun of it as emojis. If I were you, I would remove that shit right now.
Considering how willing Foodie is to go for anybody's family. What is it she says? You go low, I go lower? Like, I don't think anyone's shaking here. If there's one thing Chantal has proven in her history, is that she's all bark and no bite.
And they're cocky about it because nothing has been struck on their channels yet.
She has said before that she struck channels and then her YouTube manager just wasn't listening to her. Because at first it was the YouTube manager was going to be the thing that finally got her listened to. And then she had to apply for the YouTube manager she thought she already had. And then they weren't listening because she'd say, no, I've reported you. And then why aren't they doing anything when I report her? And now she's saying she hasn't reported them. All this is telling me is nothing's going to happen.
And by the way, thank you to the people who have helped me with timestamps. I've gotten some emails and they've done a really good, thorough job.
Are they going to go to court for you as well? Because that's the only way I'm going to see the inside of a courtroom here.
You know, calling my dad a pedophile, stuff like that. You know, calling my mom a whore. Just incessant attacking, my physical attributes.
Yeah, I'm betting she's done a bit of that herself. I mean, check. I'm sure people have got receipts.
There's so much TOS things that are broken, I can't even think of them all.
Yeah. Just recently, there have been some videos that have disappeared from her channel. When you go onto, the Social Blade, whatever, you can see a minus where she's deleted some videos. Because, like I say, she is not carefree with this. All this big talk, she's gone through and tried to remove videos first of things that she might be struck back on.
Get ready for a war.
Yeah, okay. All right, Foodie, Komodo, Dragon Beauty, let's do it. Where is Pulpy? Where is the judge's wig? We need it. Foodie and the Komodo Dragon Calvary. Yeah, all right. Oh. She's so angrily exhaling. The smoke just makes it better.
Yeah, right. It feels weird. Everything's until they bring themselves so low and do some.
Oh, sorry. I sped this up while I was watching, and when I caught this part, I forgot that it was still at 1.75 times speed. It does go back down to 1.25, but I apologize.
It's so illegal, even more illegal. Like, it's just crazy. So the cat's not neutered, so it must be evil. Yeah. They're high on hate and it's contagious, yeah. So who's big mad? Me? Do I have a hate channel needing to, hey Angela, hate every single day?
I would not be uncomfortable classifying her channel as a hate channel.
She was came up with a killer to meet her agenda. That's basically what she's saying, yeah. It financially benefits them. I don't know about that. I'd say there's a lot of hate. There is a lot of hate they try. You can hear it when they seethe.
You can hear it when they seethe, and not a speck of self-awareness among us. Timestamp it, friends. Timestamp it. When you get a decent audience, the money is decent, especially this time of year. So money is a thing. But I would say there's a fair amount of hatred in the community as well. And I use the phrase fair amount because she is an awful woman. I do think there's a lot of overstepping in certain places, but is it unfair that people feel this way towards her? No, she built her community.
Yeah, Mary was really good. Bees are in a smoky room, the smell of hash and bees perfume. Bees are in a smoke.
I don't think that was meant as a joke.
Room. Smell of hash and bees perfume.
It's not a compliment.
Hey Bailey, happy birthday! We gotta play happy birthday for Bailey. So, that's what I wanted to say is pretty funny. Again, never mistake my silence for weakness. Just don't do it. Do it if you want, but that'll be your downfall.
Never mistake her loudness for strength.
All I have to do, if they ever do show up, is show them your channel, and they'll probably pat me on the back.
Oh, this is if the police in Kuwait ever showed up.
Do you think they give a shit about you? Okay. Deportation bees. Oh, wait. Didn't girly bread say, aren't I supposed to be out of Kuwait by now? Oh no. Where am I, girly? Where am I?
Definitely not full of rage. Just checking. You are in Kuwait. May I remind you of that time very recently when you went to Thailand for a while? And the suspiciously consistent 3-month gap visits you've been making abroad? The fact that you are currently in country does not change the fact that I don't believe for a second that you are resident in that country.
Yeah.
Watch how she blows this next thing. Hang on. She made a point of getting close up and blowing it directly into camera because it's something people have mentioned annoy them. Because that'll teach everybody. Anyways.
Why you should be asking why they spend so much time wasting their energy on trying to prove them a liar when they never succeed. I heard her say on the reaction, on your mama's reaction, saying, "You come on here and you lie today.
You do.
You're not really married. You don't really have a license."
She does have a license. She has an IDP, International Driver's Permit, which is an extension of your home license. Now, I know people said that she said her license was expired. I do believe you can renew it online, but it would be easier for her to renew her license and get... God, look at this freeze frame. Not full of rage. No. I think she's been too careful with her wording to not have any license at all now. And it's impossible for the reasons that I outlined when I did the video on her license a little bit ago. It's impossible for her to have a Kuwaiti one. But it's also impossible for her to be a tourist and have an international one. So that's a nice little corner she's painted herself into there.
Where's your proof of this? The burden's on you. You're making those claims, not...
The law is the proof. The law is the proof. Oh, and can we talk? I really hope I didn't have this rant in the previous section of this video, but can we talk? This whole nonsense about Worcester. Can't prove we're married. Oh, we knew someone who knew someone in the court. It was Worcester. All right, let's chat. Worcester means essentially influence. It's when you're important enough that you can kind of glide on through certain things. There is not a snowball's chance in hell that Salah is connected enough to have Worcester. Now, there has been a lot of talk about how his sister or his dad could get in trouble because people believe that it was through them that maybe you had this connection. Both his sister and his father have very respectable jobs. His sister, I believe, is a pharmacist. That takes skill and training. It's a good job to have. His father, as far as we know, is reasonably placed within the Ministry of Education. Now, ministries themselves do have a decent amount of power. Ministry jobs are well regarded. I myself, when I get into a cab, it's really common for the cab drivers to be like, oh, where are you from? Oh, do you work here? Because they pick me up from home. And I go, yes, I'm a teacher. And they're like, oh, mashallah. Because they recognize that it takes work to become one. And it's considered to be a good place in society. So there is a respect for the line of work and for the industry. Ministry jobs are better regarded because usually the pay is better. They're good career options long term, and you can stay in them for life. But we're talking about overturning a court system that literally exists to prevent people getting around these things. So here is a more realistic view of where you would need to be placed to be able to do that. In terms of the marriage itself, probably Ministry of Justice. If you were somewhat high up in the Ministry of Justice and you had influence, either because of your position or because of a friendship with maybe a judge, but that'd be putting the judge at risk, then you could perhaps be rubber stamped through when not everything was in order. Things could be smoothed. If potentially you had someone who had reasonable power within the Ministry of Interior in regards to things like immigration, possibly. Or, as always, if you have high connections with someone like the royal family or one of its various branches. Now, based on what we know of Salah, based on how he was living before, there is no way he has these connections. I'm not saying there was anything wrong with the fact that he was living in a bachelor's, but here's the thing. If he had, or his father had, or his family had connections of that nature, Salah would not be doing what he's doing now, even if he works for the perfumery or for the whatever. We know before, when Allah was friends with him, that they used to work together in a kind of retail position. Again, nothing wrong with that job. But if he had the kind of connections that could get him through the court system, he probably would have been in a training position for a better career opportunity. Maybe the ministry itself. And if they had that power, why would they be appealing the court at all? It would have been approved with no trouble because you would have had the power to do that. The fact that they had to go and appeal tells me they didn't have the power to do that. And that's why it took so long to get finalized, because they didn't have the power to do it. So no, she's probably, I don't think she even knew the term wasta before someone brought it up, but she probably has been trying to rack her brains for something that she doesn't have to explain. And by the way, thinking wasta is part of the legal system. No, it's not. It is one of those unofficial but very powerful things where people who are connected get things done. And their privilege in life is that they don't have to go through the regular methods. They would not have been living the type of life they are. They would not have been moving around. He wouldn't have been in the position he's in now. And likely he wouldn't have been allowed to marry her if he was in that kind of prominent a family or in a less prominent family that had those kinds of connections. And then you go into all the other evidence we've seen in terms of timing, in terms of traveling, in terms of how she's treated the doctors and the fact that she paid with her passport. After she uploaded this and she had that live, she kept saying his apartment. Like once, maybe you might make that mistake. She said it like 2 or 3 times. There is something not right with her situation, and I believe my version of events a lot more than I believe hers.
Where's the proof that I'm not married and that I don't have a license?
I have a number of videos. If you feel your listening comprehension is up to it, feel free to give them another go. But last time you had trouble.
So you're the liar, not me, because I can tell you that I have the proof to the right people.
Oh, okay. How convenient for you. I have all the proof, but I won't show it. Oh, okay. Well, I'll continue not to believe it then.
If somebody came, number one, we had to show proof to live here. So that's proof enough. How much?
Okay, so courts, easy to get around. Living situations that you somehow refer to as his and not ours, no, that's insurmountable. You've supposedly got the wasta to get through the court and not through that one piece of paper? I don't think so. You can't say on one hand that there are loopholes and another hand there are no loopholes for the apartment.
How many times have I said that you cannot live here without it? Like,
You've said a lot of things a lot of time, and I still don't believe any of them.
don't Google the things that don't fit their narrative. All you have to do is Google it.
I actually don't need to Google it because I know the laws. I've lived by them, I've experienced them, and I've researched them before. It doesn't make what you're saying any more believable.
You need to be married to live here together. I don't have to show you shit. I'm not showing them anything. No.
Well, of course you're not. You know it wouldn't help you.
Exactly. But I do have it.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Fake outrage to feed the zombies, exactly.
Yeah, whatever. A zombie would starve eating you.
Milky always pissed me off when she came for your hair when she wears a wig too.
I'd forgotten I put this in, but I wanted to make a point here. I don't often respond, even though she brings it up a lot. Just so you know, by the way, I changed this a couple of days ago because, God forbid, I have the same wig in the same style in multiple versions so that I can change it regularly. It's a cheap wig. It gets all bedraggled. I have to change it. But can I please make the point that I have never once come for her wigs? Ever. And I never would, because I have the same issue. I have hair loss through something I can't control. I've discussed her wigs. I've discussed ways that I have dealt with my wigs and things she could do, but I have never and would never be negative about the fact that she has to wear them, because that's a hard line for me personally. Now, Foodie does not have that same hard line. Whenever she's presented with facts that she can't defend, she automatically switches into an insult on my wigs. That's fine. I can only make the choices that I'm comfortable making with. I can't control anybody else's. But no, I have never made fun of her wigs.
It's not Chantal Marie's audience hates, it's the false version Scabs tells them. Exactly. And they believe everything. She doesn't have a license. She's not married. She's a liar.
I can only give you the evidence of what you would need to get married and my personal experience with living in the Middle East and the general laws and what's the works and what connections you would need and that kind of thing. You know that whole if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck? Like, she is lying. It's the only way things make sense. She is lying.
What? Where's your proof? I'm waiting.
Okay, you don't need to wait. It's up on video. Feel free.
Legit proof, not just Google. You can't get your license in Kuwait. You don't know my situation.
She's got a license, her IDP.
How can you be so assertive over something you don't know? Like, I'm not stupid. I wouldn't drive here.
She is stupid. Allow me to demonstrate.
Legally. So, yeah, I know I drove a while back one time, and I was under a different situation then, a different status.
So, based on that, different status as of June 2023, which would have been a tourist visa, which she already admitted she was hopping on in the beginning. Of course not now, friends. So she was living illegally with Salah for many, many months. I don't for a second believe her status changed the minute after she recorded that video of her driving. And if they were married, if any of this were true, and if she were now under a residency, you can't use the IDP on a residence visa. You have to get your Kuwaiti one, and you can't get a Kuwaiti one until 2 years after you get your residency permit, and spouses can't get their license anyway unless they have kids, which Chantal doesn't. So no, I don't think this line of argument is particularly smart.
Whatnot, so, but, you know, when you change your status, it changes the type of license you need.
Yeah, it does.
So I actually have a proper license for my current status here.
Not a proper license for residence, because she couldn't, based on the timing she couldn't, and even if she'd had 2 years, she doesn't have kids. Proper license for her status. If her status is not a tourist, she is driving illegally. If her status is a tourist, she needs an international driver's permit. Now, the only thing I will say on this that has changed in Oman within the last few days is within the last few days, I believe Oman have said you no longer need the international permit. I don't believe that's the case in Kuwait, but I'd have to do more research.
Which, of course, I will not show you the license.
No.
When I know how dumb you people are and would report it.
Yeah. One of us is dumb right now. It's not me. All right, guys. That's all I've got for you. I'm going to add this to my other video. I'm going to export it. I'm going to try and finish off my Great British Bake Off for the Great Australian Bake Off for the members. Like, busy times, and I'm going to try and put my grades in. I've finished my comments. Thank you very much for your patience. I will see you next time. Goodbye.